Darklord is back. Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Darklord with the new event, Theme Chronicle, because where else can we play Darklord except for in Theme Chronicle? If you don't know what Darklord does, they basically use the graveyard kind of like their hand, but in... Okay, let me just explain. Each one of the Darklords has an on-field effect, or each one of the high-level Darklords has an on-field effect that targets and copies a spell trap in the grave. A Darklord spell trap in the grave. The traps have the ability to do powerful things, non-targeting, which is pretty interesting. However, they have to send a card as cost. But because of the fact that you copy the effects, not the actual cost or anything like that, being able to copy them, it means you don't have to pay said cost. That is the general upside to them. On top of that, they pay 1,000 life points in order to do this and gain life points via various different means. Sanctified, Condemned, Morningstar, all gain life points in various different ways. So that is the general idea of the deck. If you've played Duel Links, you know exactly what this deck is capable of. So, all in all, what does this deck do? What is its game plan? Well, its game plan is to summon out El Primero, the first Darklord. This card is very powerful because it protects your entire field, basically, all of your fairy monsters, from targeting, which is very powerful. On top of that, it has the ability to reborn any monster, and if it's fusion summoned using Morningstar, you can nuke the field. Pretty solid. All of this is more or less what the game plan is. You get 3 monsters, 3 Dark Fairy monsters, then you obtain something like your Uprising or your Despia Theater of the Branded. Yes, we are playing Despia cards. In order to go into your fusion monster of the first Darklord. Then you can use things like Condemned in order to tribute out your Morningstars or what have you, and go from there. It doesn't actually do a whole lot, but the traps are fairly useful. You can use Eggshell to draw additional cards and put cards into grave, and the spell trap lineup is not terrible. So, that's generally what we are aiming to do. Now, because of this, we don't really have space to play a ton of hand traps, so instead I'm maxing out on powerful, non-engine. Meaning, we're playing 2 Triple Tack, 2 Triple Tactic Thrust, and 3 Ultimate Slayer, as well as 1 Harpy's Feather Duster as another thrust target. And that is it. It's just 9 cards, I believe. No, less than that. 8 cards. 8 cards as non-engine, because again, we don't really have space for non-engine, because all of the Darklords have to, like, send a card to do a thing, so you just want to see as many of the Darklords as possible. We're also playing a 1 card destruction as well, because, yeah, that's, I don't know, it's fairly decent. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. I'm just going to do the quick card by card and go from there. We're playing the branded Despia stuff. So we're playing 3 Tragedy, which we can pitch off of opening in order to do special summon Dramaturg, which is mostly what we're going for, or Ad Libitum, which also reborns a guy. And then we're also playing 3 Theater of the Branded. If you don't know what this does, it basically fusion summons a monster. That's pretty much all that it does. However, it also has the ability to reborn a fusion monster if a non-fusion fairy monster is destroyed. So if, for example, your first Darklord gets destroyed, and then another one of your Darklords gets destroyed, you then can bring back the first Darklord. So it's fairly useful, all things considered. Then we, of course, have ourselves the Darklords, which we're playing a bunch of. We have the 1 Ukobak, very useful. We have ourselves 3 Indulged. We have 1 Amdusk, 2 Nastin, 1 Superbia. Most of these don't really matter too much. Amdusk reborns, or grabs a card from grave. Nastin can special summon itself by pitching cards. Superbia can reborn another guy from grave if it doesn't miss timing. Yeah, so these are all okay. Indulged special summons a guy to your opponent's field to add a guy to your hand, so that's nice. And then we have Ukobak, which just sends a card. Then we have Tez, which protects by discarding itself as cost, meaning you can just protect your field at point of resolution, which, if you don't know what that means, basically if the opponent were to nuke your field, you could just send this guy instead, and they can't interact with that. So if they had like an Apo or a, I don't know, some other monster negate, it wouldn't matter. You just send this as cost. So there's that. And then Eggshell discards a Darklord and itself in order to draw 2 cards. And then we have Morningstar, which if tribute summons, special summons Darklords equal to the number of effect monsters the opponent controls, and can mill the top cards of your deck in order to equal to the number of Darklord monsters on the field, and then gains 500 for each Darklord sent that way, and also has targeting protection as long as you control another Darklord. Pretty solid. As for the spells, we are playing 3 Banishment, which is just a Rhoda, and 3 Contact. Sorry, this searches any Darklord card. And then Contact is just Monster Reborn in defense. Then we are playing 1 apiece of Rebellion, which is a non-target pop. 1 apiece of Sanctified, which is a non-target effect negation, which is very solid, but you also gain life points, which is, again, very solid. And then 1 Uplord, or Darklord Uprising, which is your fusion spell. And if you send a monster for this effect, you gain life points as well. As for the extra deck, we're playing Ultimate Slayer targets, Entis, 2 Entis, 1 Garura, and 1 Fairy Sheet for our Link monster, and then 2 Malong as well. And then we're playing Proskenion, I don't know, he's here. We're playing 2 first Darklords. Yes, you do summon 2, oftentimes, so that's pretty solid. And he's very nice at 2 as well. We have 2 Condemned. This is a very solid card. You discard a card to add a Darklord monster, and you can use the Grave as tribute fodder, basically. So you can, like, summon Condemned, search out Morningstar, and then tribute summon Morningstar without having to use monsters on field, which is very powerful. We're also playing IP Masquerena and Unicorn, just because. And then we're also playing the BLS, which is a card. If you don't know, if it's linked using a level 7 or higher monster, it cannot be targeted nor destroyed by opponent's card effects, which is very solid. And then on top of that, it has the ability, once it destroys a monster by battle, to gain 1 of these additional effects. Mostly it's just used for this first effect. And then Abramax. And that's it. Let's hop into the replay and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going second. I'm just kidding. We're actually going first. My opponent elected to go second, which is very interesting. But basically, I am showing you this deck because of this replay. This replay was funny, and I really wanted to showcase it. Anyway, first and foremost, we started with the Ukobak to send the Banishment, and then that allowed us... one, this baits out Ash or other such interactions, and 2, it allows us to just get Banishment into the graveyard, which is very powerful, which you will see following soon. Because we ended up drawing the field spell, we also get to go for the branded opening, pitching an Ixchel, summoning out a Dramaturg. From here, we get to fusion summon, and we get to reborn the Dramaturg. If you don't know, Dramaturg, if used as fusion material, brings itself back. Pretty solid. Now we can also activate the effect of El Primero, which reborns our Ixchel. Ixchel now has the ability to copy that Banishment in Grave to grab up Sanctified. So now we actually have a point of interaction. And because this is a quick effect, we do have the ability to use it again on the opponent's turn, which is a very solid effect. So basically we have 3 effect negations. That's more or less what we're doing, and we also have the ability to reborn a guy as well. Oh, if you don't know why we're summoning specifically Dramaturg, Dramaturg, if a monster from the extra deck is summoned, you get to negate a monster on the field. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty useful against Jurak here. This is the Jurak structure deck as well, so there's that. Anyway, they're going to go Baby Sarasaurus here and summon out the Oviraptor, which I'm just going to promptly say no to that. So we're going to send the Ixchel to the graveyard. Oh no! Ixchel's the thing that copies. That's fine, because guess what? We have the ability to reborn it off of the effect of El Primero, so that's generally what we're going to do. Anyway, the opponent's Special Summons guy here, we're going to then reborn our Ixchel, because I want to specifically negate this guy. I knew the Meteorus was going to be a problem, so we elect to negate there. We're going to negate. They're going to then normal summon out the Kaito Terra, which grabs then the fusion spell, and now they can synchro into Astero. Astero effect is going to set a guy, and I'm like, I'm just not going to allow that. I can deal with my board being wiped, because we do have the ability to protect with opening. So even if they did still have access to the Jurak Meteor, we'd still be able to kind of protect ourselves. But alas, they go for the Horned Saurus, which then activates the field spell, which is Jurak Volcano, and then they normal summon Petite Pteranodon. Pteranodon. I got there. Petite Pteranodon. In order to then summon out the Jurak Stego, and they're kind of off to the races here. They're going to grab the Meteorus here and activate its effect in order to send a Dinosaur to the graveyard. Specifically, they send the normal monster because they can. They also elect not to walk over anything else for some reason. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you would be able to attack with this guy. Am I wrong? Is that there may have been something limiting them in regards to the amount of monsters they could attack with, but for the most part, I don't know why they don't elect to attack into one of these. Maybe they just thought they couldn't, but alas, okay. Anyway, we draw contact, which is fantastic, and we're going to, first and foremost, special summon out the Uko back here. Also, the reason I play the way that I do in this game is because this card specifically says when an opponent would special summon a monster, you can banish a dinosaur monster, or 2 dinosaur monsters to negate the summon and destroy that card. Now, notably, this means if I were to link summon, they would be able to negate it. However, every other summon, I'm A-okay to do. So, it's basically just link summons that I'm locked from. Anyway, but that's fine, because we're going to grab up the Morning Star, which then we can just tribute summon over in order to special summon a whole bunch of guys. Most notably, Nastin, and I summon the Amdusk as well here. That allows them to then special summon a Jurak Meteor. Oh no! Jurak Meteor is going to nuke the field, except for the fact that Dramaturg is not once per game. So, yeah, you summon Guy, I negate. Keep that in mind as well. That is generally what we can accomplish here. We did end up milling, which we did hit the banishment, but a bunch of other cards that don't really matter. So we're going to grab up the Sanctified, and then we're going to fusion summon here into a second El Primero, which is fantastic for us. So we're going to summon out this guy, and then Dramaturg is going to bring itself back, and now we can switch to attack position. And I do a bit of a goof here. I do a bit of an oops here. I attack into the Jurak Meteor, and I don't attack twice into the Meteorus. That's what I should have done with the El Primero, because he is big enough to actually walk over this guy, and I don't realize that, and so I just go, oh, oopsie poopsie, my bad. It's fine, we can walk over the rest of the field, but that does mean that this guy does get to come back and send another normal monster, which means he can use it again to bring himself back. So, again, a bit of a goof on my part, but it should be fine for the most part. They also return my Dramaturg. Now, to be fair, this is a non-target return, so they could have returned a first Darklord or something else of that nature, but alas, they elected to return the Dramaturg, which is very silly, because they also know that I have the Sanctified in hand, so alas. Anyway, that's fine. They also didn't read First Darklord, because as much as this is a Monster Reborn, it can also special summon from hand. Ain't that cool? They did draw Baby Ceratosaurus, which is very funny, so they're going to go for the Baby Ceratosaurus in order to go into the Oviraptor, which is promptly going to be negated. The reason I'm negating this, if you're wondering, is because of Misk. I need to be able to interact with my opponent, and if they have Miscellaneousaurus, I do, in fact, die. So I don't want to do that. So we're going to also negate this Stego here, because it's funny. And so we're going to negate the Stego and special summon from hand our Dramaturg. Dramaturg is going to promptly be walked over alongside the Ixchel this time. They actually remembered to attack here. And then they decided to make the Sabersaurus, which could have potentially gotten over our first Darklord. But alas, they elected not to do that and just switched it sideways for... I don't know. Anyway, we drew Sanctified again, which is very funny. Anyway, we're going to reborn Ixchel, and then Ukobak is going to be reborn off of the contact, being copied by Ixchel, which then allows us again to send banishment. Why are we sending banishment here? Because of Tez. Tezcatlipoca. Tezcatlipoca. I think that's how you say it. Does have the ability to protect our field as well, so we're going to try and do that, because destruction protection is pretty solid here. This time we actually do walk over the Meteorus multiple times, which means it's now just in the grave. Hip hip hooray. Anyway, we're going to go for the Ixchel effect here as well in draw phase to grab up that Tezcatlipoca and just pass the turn. To our opponent, who draws another Baby Ceratosaurus. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. They're going to go for the baby here in order to go into Oviraptor 3, and guess what? We have the Sanctified. We drew it anyway. Comedy. So yeah, we're going to once again negate their Oviraptor, sending this time the Ukobak to the graveyard and negating here. They're going to go for the Alio in order to special summon another Jurak here, and I'm like, up, hold on. I have a response. So we're going to use El Primero in order to bring out the Nastin, and just so that we have the ability to negate this Stego. So of course, again, we're going to do this, and we are going to negate the Stego here. Now, they could still go into their rank 4, which does happen. If you don't know, it does happen to actually get over our first Darklord here by destroying itself. You can boost up the other Dino in order to get over the first Darklord. Now, do not tell my opponent this guy can bring back the other one. So yes, my first Darklord can bring back my second Darklord. Peak comedy. Do you know what else can? Contact. Contact can also do that. Yeah, I could just bring him back at any time. So yeah, that's pretty solid. I'm going to elect to negate this Astero, and then we're going to reborn our first Darklord. But the reason I negate this is so that we actually have the ability to Link Summon, and we Link Summon into Soldier of Chaos, which was using a level 7 or higher monster, which means that it's indestructible, which is pretty solid. I'm going to reborn the Dramaturg here, which actually does trigger their field spell, which is so bad, by the way. This effect is very, very silly. If your opponent special summons a monster, and they have activated 4 or more monster effects this turn, you can special summon a Meteor from your extra deck. It's treated as a Synchro Summon, which is great. So they're going to go for the Meteor here, and I'm going to promptly negate it with my Dramaturg anyway. Cool! Great! Anyway, we're going to go to combat, and I'm going to walk in with the Soldier, the BLS, in order to, I read this card wrong. I thought this card said, you gain another attack this turn, and I was like, wow, they're dead this turn. No, it's next turn. This card is ass. This card's terrible. Anyway, it's still indestructible, so who cares? We're gonna walk into the monster, go to the end phase. The opponent's going to activate the effect in order to Synchro Summon. Whoa, what are we Synchro Summoning? Gee, could it maybe be Jirac Meteor? They're gonna Meteor to destroy all the cards on the field, but they're going to protect themselves, and so am I. So, 3 cards ended up going to the grave there, and they summon up the Meteorus. I don't know why this is the summon here, but alas, it really doesn't matter. At no point were we ever in threat of our board being wiped where we didn't have the ability to protect it. So, cool. At this point, the game is over, and the best way to do this is actually Synchro... Nope, I lied. Link Summon into Avramax, because, yeah, it's fine. So, yeah, there you go. That's lethal. Good game, Dinosaurs. You put up a... You tried. Good game. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is still goofy as all be. I still really enjoy the gameplay of this deck, being able to, like, cycle resources from the grave, and just, like, paying life points as an actual cost, and stuff like that, and modulating life points. And, you know, knowing when to use your tribute effect as opposed to your copy effect, as opposed to this or that or the other thing, is very fun. I really do enjoy Darklord, and I really wish more decks were of a similar power level to Darklord, just because I think it's very, very fun, that style of gameplay, that level of gameplay. So there's that. But alas, this deck also dies to Ash Blossom, so that's why I don't play it much, because if the opponent just has Ash, oftentimes you just lose on the spot. There's that. That is also one of the reasons why I'm playing the Despia stuff, and I'm playing all of these, like, branded spell traps. One, they are synergistic, right? They use... You're using them to synchro, or not synchro, fusion. I keep saying synchro. Fusion into your powerful monsters and stuff like that, so there is that synergy. But a lot of times it's also just a way to bait Ash Blossom, right? Opening is a great way to bait Ash Blossom, etc. Obviously, Aluber is banned in this event, so it's not like we could actually use him, because he would be very, very useful here. It's just like a solid normal summon. So, there's that. But I'm going to call it quits there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.